Hello, here's some tips on how to analyze and write up a case. When you're done reading, don't immediately start to write. Make sure you've looked at those exhibits. When you were reading, take some notes and make sure you've scheduled time, not just for reading and writing, but for revising. I recommend that you take a look at the class plan or the weekly plan and see what the learning objective is for the week the case is due. That will help you understand why the case was selected. When you're reading a case, I recommend that you write notes directly on the case, highlight things, so that you can easily go back and find them later. When you're first reading a case, you may not recognize what's important. Sometimes students end up highlighting just about everything. But over time, you'll get used to it. You'll start to see what the critical pieces of information are. Here's an example. So when I was reading this case, I'm already on page 8 in the case, and I noticed that all of a sudden they want to have meetings every day and a report once a week. This is an organization that has zero bureaucracy before, never mind daily meetings. They didn't have any meetings. Clearly something's going on. It's also a place where there's been tremendous changes in leadership. There's been tremendous changes in the industry. And I've written notes on all of those, and then later when I'm reviewing my case and doing my write-up, I can easily go back and find what I was thinking about before. Write an outline. You'll see questions that are associated with each case. If you have a learning group, some courses I require them, some courses I recommend. But when you meet with your learning group, bring your case and your notes, but after each question, write down some 2 to 3 answers or arguments with the justification, maybe even just the page numbers so you know where to go back. You can discuss the case with people who are not in your learning group if you choose, and I recommend going to the writing center if you have to get some help with your writing. When you're looking at the challenges that the people are facing in the case, recognize that there may be more than one, but there's probably not a whole long laundry list. If you find yourself writing 5, 6 things that are challenges, take another look at those. There's a good chance that some of those are interrelated or interdependent. Some may be long-term or short-term. See if you can figure out how you can cluster the challenges under subheadings at least. Imagine yourself as a doctor and somebody has come to you with a list of symptoms. You're not going to just repeat the symptoms back to them. You're going to say, well, based on these symptoms and my understanding and knowledge of medicine, here's the challenges that I believe you're facing. That's what you're going to do here. Look for the deeper causes to their challenges. Don't make assumptions and don't describe their challenges and their symptoms. Analyze. Break down their challenges into its component parts. Get deeper into the situation. What are the roots of their challenges? Try to avoid thinking that the characters in the case are just stupid or unethical or just difficult or have some kind of character flaw. Everybody's got a character flaw. Nonetheless, when you're reading the case, be fair and empathetic. Imagine this is you. You're the person in this case. What could you do differently to change the situation? The person who you're reading about, or if there's a protagonist in the case, maybe they're being interviewed or maybe they're even talking directly to you in the case, they may not really understand the causes of their challenges. Don't take their word for things. So don't assume they're stupid, but don't take everything they say as directly correct. Your job is to look at everything and see if you can figure out for yourself what the challenges are and what has caused them. There is no one right answer. There are many answers, some of which are better than others, and there are some wrong answers. Look for things that are most relevant, most significant, and make sure your conclusions are supported by the case. Live with the information that's in the case. You're going to be reading this and thinking, oh, they're not telling me something that's critical. That's going to happen at work too. You're going to have to make decisions in the absence of complete information. The cases are designed to be very similar to what life is like. Live with it. Move on. What can you do given the information you have? And if you want further information, you can put that in your plan of action. How do you figure out what causes are most relevant and most significant? Ask yourself some questions. How did the history of this company or of this individual or of the industry perhaps provide context for the problem that they're facing? Is there anything about the case character's knowledge or skills or abilities that may be driving their behavior? Is there something external that's happening? What are the trends? Is there some economic change going on? Is there demographic change going on that might have contributed to it? What is it about the culture, the organization's structure, the decision-making style? Are there policies or procedures that are encouraging people to behave in specific ways that may be counter to what would be needed to be successful? Finally, bring in other learning. Perhaps with the first case this won't be true, but over the course of the semester, you're going to have read notes, you're going to have read other texts, we'll have lots of class time where we discuss different things. Bring what you've read and learned to bear on your analysis in the case. When you're writing your plan of action, be very specific. Who will do what by when? Ensure your recommendations are based on and supported by your analysis. Now is not the time to start bringing up new challenges. This is the time to explain how you're going to either prevent or overcome those challenges, depending on the questions you're being asked for that specific case. Make sure that your characters or your organization is capable of implementing your plan, and if not, what resources do you think they should go out and get? And your plan should be specific, step by step, who will do what by when, measurable. You don't want to write things that are vague, like they should improve communication, or they should get along better. That's not measurable. It's got to be achievable, relevant to the situation as you've described it, and timelined. When will they do what? Writing is rewriting. Do not expect to write your case and turn it in. You're going to have to proofread and revise, so please leave yourself the time to do it. I do recommend you separate writing and revising by a few days, because looking at things with a fresh eye will definitely help you. Avoid passive verbs. Passive verbs are often used in scientific and engineering writing, but they don't work at work. And that is because if you want to be specific about who's going to do what, when, you can't be passive about it. Passive voice robs the writing of its power. There's no agency in a passive voice. Cut, 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 cut. You're going to tell me that there aren't enough words to get your point across, but there are. There are word limits for every case, but they're selected very carefully. You have enough words. You've got to look at your paragraphs and see if you can cut down several sentences into one. See if you can cut down several words into one precise term that will express what you are trying to express. Don't repeat the case. I've read it. Use tools to help your reader find the information they're looking for. Flow charts, diagrams, Gantt charts, tables, bulleted lists, numbered lists. If you're going to use a numbered list, make sure it makes sense. It's numbered chronologically, what's going to happen when, or it's numbered by greatest risk to least risk, or most near challenge to latest challenge. If you're going to use a numbered list, you should have a purpose. And if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I hope this helped.